Hello everyone. So I am Daniel, and me and my teammates were for this prototype were in charge of generating a map using procedural generation content and generating weapons and enemy AI. So generating a random map. So this part was my teammate task. So you will see more details on my teammate's video, but I can explain you briefly what it is about. So if you see here, at first there's only this room, but then once you press play, you will see that those rooms are generated by the procedural generation content or PCG, and all of those navigation nodes are also spawned this way. So that was my teammate task. And I won't explain more about this. If you want to know more about it, just go to his video. So about my task, I was in charge of making a weapon pickup system, and so making them spawn in the random rooms that my teammate created. I also included a royalty system for each weapons that goes from legendary weapons, which has a low rate of spawning, and to common weapons, which has more chance to spawn. And then at the end, I will teach you a quick introduction to how you could make the enemy AI dies and the response on its life goes down to 0. So let's start first with generating weapons on the map. So first we need to create a weapon manager C++ class, and then we need to use a blueprint to generate that's in charge of generating the weapons, and that will manage the weapon rarities, materials, colors. Okay, so first for the weapon manager C++ class. So here on the H file, you need to use those values. So you will need to create an array that will store all the navigation nodes, then an array for the weapons, this void function, populate nodes, that will make the weapon spawn on the nodes and not anywhere else. And then of course the create weapon that will create the weapon and spawn it. I am also going to show you really quickly how the blueprint is. So here, on the event on pickup, this pass is in charge of spawning the white gun depending on its rarity. For example, if it is a legendary weapon, this weapon will do more damage, and etc. And then this part just destroy the gun whenever the player hit it, so that he picked it. And then on this part is in charge of the weapon model. So depending on its rarity, each weapon will have a different color. For example, if the weapon is legendary, the weapon will have the legendary material, which is a yellow color. Say for master, if it's a master weapon, it will have a master material, which is another color, and etc. etc. Okay, so now I will demonstrate you how it looks like again. Okay, so once everything is done, you just need to drag the weapon manager into the viewport. Set this weapon to spawn to weapon blueprint. One last thing. So if after I found, let me check for the weapon first. So you see that once I go on the weapon, it may not pick it. So yes, okay, so here I taught you how to generate a weapon on a random navigation node. So the next time you do a weapon generation system, the weapon won't spawn outside of your map, but in this map at a random place. I also showed you how you can play it with weapons already to make your game more engaging. And so next, I will do a quick introduction on how to make a responding enemy AI, so that once his life goes to 0, he responds. So you will need to use your previous work from lab, the have component class, and the enemy character class. And then you will need to create a game mode that will hold the response function and set this game mode as your default game mode. Okay, so first, go on your game mode h5, create a response function which take as controllers as argument. Then in the game mode CPP, you implement the response function. And right now, this only prints response whenever the enemy's life goes down to 0, but then it is up to you to add on this function. For example, when the enemies die, you could destroy his model and then make him respawn anywhere on every navigation mode so that he doesn't spawn outside of your chosen map. Then go to your health component. You need to implement a onDev function here. You need to create an onDev function. And then on your CPP, implement this function. And this function will make record the onDev function from the enemy class once his life goes down to 0. And let's go to the enemy character class now. On the H file again, implement an onDev function. And then on the CPP, implement this function. And this one we call the function, the response function from the game mode once the enemy's life goes down to 0. So now I will demonstrate how it looks like in game. But first, don't forget to go on Edit, Project Setting, Map and Modes, and set your default game mode to this game mode blueprint. So the one you are using. So after you set it, now, so let's find the enemy AI now. Here it is. So if you shoot him until he has no more health, so we're taking a few moments. So here, you see the blue responding, the blue text saying responding. So from there you can see that the game mode did work after the enemy AI life went down to 0. It printed this responding text in blue. So to make this better, you could add on things such as whenever excuse me, whenever the AI life goes down to 0, you could destroy the model and create a new one on those nav nodes. So that is the end of my video. I taught you how to make weapon spawns on a navigation node so that whenever you create your map, the weapon won't spawn outside of your chosen map. Also introduce you to a little bit of AI responding. So from there you could add on more to make it better. So that was the end of my video. Thank you for listening. Oh, and I forgot. So once our project was done and that we merged this together, it was all cohesive according to our plan. So my teammate was in charge of generating the map, and I was in charge. He was in charge of the map and the navigation nodes, and for me, I had to do so that my weapons and the enemy spawns right on the map and not outside of it. So once everything was merged, it worked perfectly for us. And what is the plan for the next steps? So me and my teammates are planning to implement a multiplayer system for this prototype. But first, we will do is making the project prototype a little bit cleaner. For example, making a better AI, or making a better spawn system for the weapons, or making a respawn system for the player and for the enemy AI. And from there, we could either create a cooperation game where both players will have to beat as many enemy AI as possible, or we could do a versus game where each players will have to beat each other or kill as many enemy AI as possible. So here, that is the end of my video. Thank you for listening.